Hey, Natsu here. Today I want to do a new what if. This what if is going to be called What If Gon Was Trained with Killua. So, this is going to be part 0 to basically explain how he got to do that. I had 3 options to do so, but the one I've chosen is this. When Gon was a baby on Wild Island, Gon, well, Mito basically left Gon outside for a little bit while he was still a baby, just to go grab something, and someone stole Gon. Basically, the person was someone that took kids or people that were mentally challenged and sold them as slave or just as pets. So for a baby, he thought, okay, I'm going to make a good price. I could sell him as a pet to a rich family or as a slave, which they're basically grow themselves and then put to work or something like that. This person was basically one of the chief of an organization that did that. And the Zoldyck were basically paid to go kill all of the members as well as the bosses. Let's say, since I think Killua and Gon are basically almost the same age or something, Killua isn't there, but Killua's dad and Illumi came to this, went there and basically killed all of them. Basically, both of them were paid to do the same job by 2 different people, so they kind of just went together. And basically, after killing everyone, they saw the youngest one of them, which was a baby. Also, this is just like a day after he got taken, and since nobody's able to even talk to Jin, no, he doesn't know about what happened. But they saw the baby, and Kyoa's father has the eye to see when someone has a lot of potential. And he doesn't know why, but this kid has a lot. He doesn't know who the kid is, but he sees that there is a lot of potential in him. Practically as practically more than his own son, Killua. So he decides to take him, and when Illumi asks him why he's doing this, Killua's father basically says if we can train him, he is going to be a great training partner for Killua. They might even be, he might even be able to be the training partner that we will show him to kill even friends with. Which, basically, that's what he said, but he just thought, because we know from the anime that he actually likes Killua a lot more than any other of his children for some reason, and that he would even be ready to let him leave the family and the business of assassin if he wanted to, compared to anyone else, which is pretty weird, but pretty sweet at the same time. So he just really wants to give his son a friend that could basically be trained with him to both be some of the best assassins in the world. The problem is that Gon's personality literally doesn't come from his education, the way he was taught. He basically just had that because Mito didn't want him to be someone who really explores and stuff like that, but he was just like his dad, trying every time to just go out. So he doesn't have a personality that was shaped like that. He just had it in the anime. So I'm going to say that he has the mentality to kill and stuff like that, but that he still has the same mentality to become a hunter and stuff like that, just because he wants to know who his real father was. Since they didn't hide it, he's not their son. He's not really part of the family truly, but he is an adoptive son that he feels exactly the same way about him as Killua. Basically, he looks at them as if they were twins, which the others kind of accept, mostly the grandfather, since he also seems to be a lot closer to Killua than anyone else except his own son, which is pretty funny and interesting at the same time. So, he, he was trained just like Killua up until I only remember something for the name. I don't remember Aluka until she's born, where everything happens basically the same. At some point, it was gone. Well, basically everything happens the exact same. Gon and Killua basically learned everything about the rules and kept them a secret. Well, some of them, and basically both of them were basically acting like they were twins. They know they aren't true brothers, but they basically act as if because, well, all of their life they were like this. And since and this time Alk and Illumi did still try to put a needle in um, Killua's brain, he did it, and both of them know exactly what. Uh, well, he did it to only Killua because he doesn't see Gon as a brother. Let's say they still called him Gon because, well, just a reason. I don't know. So, just to be easier for me, actually. So basically, both of them were trained to resist any poison, um, resist any kind of electricity. Um, their strength improved massively compared to the original. Basically, they're almost twice as strong as Killua was in the start, only because, well, how can I explain this? Killua grew very fast as a kid, it was said, but when he started being with Gon, both of them started improving at a rate that was basically a lot faster, like more than 3 or 4 times, because like in what 6 months only, he passed from no, in a year only, he passed from only being able to open 3 of the doors, which I think is 2, 4, 8, to being able to open 5 of them, like with training that was not as hard as his training at his house, because the training was mostly just to make them increase their Nen abilities. Yes, Nen increase their body, but that's only when they put it around them. So just using their normal strength. Both of them are already about at that point. So they're strong from the start. Like, really strong. So the difference in the anime is that the guy that when Mito basically had a meltdown because well, easy to see. Um, the entire island actually went in panic because someone stole a child. They never found him. When the boat for the hunter's exam passed, the guy that was on board and fell over the overboard was still catched, but this time only by Kurapika and Leorio basically being able to, let's just say they were able to do that, so the captain basically set them to be okay to be in the license exam, the hunter exam. Both of them still went up the mountain, um, gave the same answer against the family of Where something, I don't remember, Where Fox, I think. They basically both did what they did in the original, but without them actually catching the parents. They still passed anyway, but it was just barely. Um, they were able to go all the way to the hunter exam, and that's where they met Gon and Killua. Both of them called Killua Zoldyck and Gon Zoldyck, since neither of them know the real name of Gon, even though for some reason they have the right name. I don't know, I know, let's say that this is not in my notes, I'm just saying that right now. Let's just say that um, after taking the baby, Killua's dad learned about a baby practically the exact same age as the one they found being stolen, and that it was a perfect match, and the name was Gon. So they named him like that. So he knew his true name, but they still gave him the family name, and that's basically the only difference about that I'm changing. So everything else is alright. Um, neither of them actually talk. Well, no. Lirio and Kurapika doesn't do go to drink the cans of juice from the guy, but Gon basically said they tasted funny and that he doesn't know if they should drink it. He is immune to poison, but he still has a massive amount of taste because he is adventurous and basically still ate any weird plant he came across. So he can taste and smell practically anything just like a real animal. It's just that that to his already weirdly over animal like abilities, he has Killua's training, which both of them improved a lot more than normal Killua. Both of them did go to the Tower of Heaven when they were two. Both of them did it in less time. No, in the same amount of time about, since they were just two and the training basically would have only made them like um not that much stronger. So they already went there. Gon, compared to Killwood, kept his money, just because he decided to do that. Because he decided that he wanted at some point to find out who his dad was, his real dad. Because he was told the moment he was able to basically talk correctly and understand people that his name, that he was their adopted son, not their real son, but that they still loved him the same way. And they basically trained him as if he was basically part of the family. So yeah, both of them went to Heaven's Arena, stopped at the 200th floor, and both of them only have one chance when they're going to get back. When they met Hisoka, he basically got interested in both of them extremely fast because just like um, Killua's dad, he's able to see the potential in people, and I'm really not making this up. He knew that Gon had a massive amount of potential compared to Killua, which was interesting. Like, Gon didn't have the training, but with enough training, he could become a lot more powerful than Killua, even though everything would happen correctly. He knew that, so he saw both kid with enormous power, but weirdly didn't seem to have a specific thing that comes in later. But basically, he decides to keep an eye on them. When everything starts, both of them basically just play at the same time that they're running. Since they have more speed and stamina, basically they just do exactly as in the anime. Leorio gets the same boost in the middle of it because he won't be passed by some kids, like you said. And so basically at the end, the same amount of people were lost behind. And basically the same thing happened with the monster that looked like the guy. Um, after that, the other months. After that, when they were told that they had passed, go past through the forest to the end of the thing, basically both of them decided to just go all out for that, not to stay in there for long. And this is one of the little difference. Lirio, if I remember correctly, was beaten by Hisoka, but Hisoka brought him because he was Gon's friend. And this one, they never actually met. They only exchanged two words. So Hisoka actually just left him there. For some reason, he didn't die and was able to continue. Let's say he just kind of, well, not continue, but he was able to leave. Hisoka left, but Kurapika this time grabbed him and brought him instead. So he still makes it. That's just a small difference, but still. At the end, when they go for when they go for the food test, where they have to make a special pork, the same thing happened, like exactly the same way, because basically the girl was irritated, and yeah, so Netero had to take part in it. Then they went for the cracked mountain where spider eagles were and laid eggs. Everyone was able to do the same thing. All of the one that died died. All of the one that didn't jump didn't jump. And then it's later with the game with Netero. Netero does know that they are powerful, but in the anime, he doesn't know how strong they are. He knows they has potential because there are only two kids that were able to get further than most adults can, but he didn't know how strong they were. So when they start the game, both of them actually start doing the walk around him, but both being on their own sides. So Killua being, well, let's look at it as if it was a clock and Netero was the center. While Killua is on the 1, Gon is on the 6. And they just change it like that, continuing to be exactly at the opposite side. So when the game starts, since both of them have more stamina, strength, speed, and whatever, I would say they were able to surprise him at one point, just able to touch the ball. And if I remember correctly, it's take the ball away, but he was impressed that they were able to touch it. So he decided to make it a bit easier for them at some point. He still decided to keep going with the ball, but when it ended and that they weren't able to catch it, he basically told them, "Boys, you were able to touch the ball, which I'm pretty impressed. I was sure you were going to give up or be knocked out before you were even able to get close to it. I am going to tell you this. If you were able to make it to the last round, you do not have to be in it. I am going to give you your license. So they won't be in the battles at the end. So that means Illumi won't make Killua go back to their house, which she planned to do with both Killua and Gon, since he started actually seeing him as a brother anyway over time, and started being as overprotective over Gon as Killua because he saw that they're way too close together. If something happens to him, to Gon, Killua would be as devastated as he would be. So he saw that, yeah, no, I need to protect them both the same way. So at some point he did put the needle in Gon as well. But he doesn't know about that part of the deal because Netero was just impressed, so decided to let them a bit more loose on the chain, which both of them accepted since it was just for fun and they saw that nobody else except one of them was probably stronger than him, that some of them were stronger than them probably, and that both of them looked crazy as hell, probably ready to kill. So they just thought, the closer we are to finishing, the better it is, so we're going to take that deal. Since they don't know Illumi is there, but they saw both, well, Illumi and Hisoka, and they almost they were almost ready to shit brick at some point because they got scared of them. Like, let's say both Hisoka and Illumi met in the tunnel and basically just exchanged Nen, and both Killua and Gon felt it and got really scared of that because of the needles. And so they know that if they fight against those two, they probably will lose. And since they don't know what the last thing is, they just accept it because, well, if they can be a step closer to finishing than anyone else, and well, they won't have to be close to those two a lot more. And so they basically accepted because of those reasons. So, arriving to the next challenge, which is basically the tower, well, the prison tower. The same groups happen to be made. When they arrived against the prisoners, there is a difference that I'm going to make. Gon goes first against the guy that the fat one decided to run from, so that's one win for them. Second one, which is the guy, spider guy, which is totally false, gets pretty much beaten um, by. I just have scarlet eyes in my head, which is right because for some reason I didn't freaking write it. Kurapika. Okay, yeah. So yeah, Kurapika basically beats the shit out of him, so 2 wins. Afterwards, it's the thing with the candles, which they lose because of the fat ass. Then the thing with the girl going for the um well, rock paper scissors or whatever it was. Yeah, it basically just wrote down on my page test against the girl. So yeah, all I remember is that and the last thing was basically they lost 50 hours because Leorio basically went against everything, basically saying you're a dude. In this one, something else happens. Basically, both Gon and Killua tells him, if you lose intentionally, we kill you. So he basically went with you're a girl and they didn't lose any time. Then the last one said, oh, but I still want my turn. So they go for it, and he dies basically the same way because of Killua. So in this one, they just basically passes because they didn't lose 50 hours. Because Lirio literally got scared of 2 kids who basically looked at him like, if you don't do, if you lose this, we kill you. So they arrived basically like third or something. Well, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and seventh. And so after that happened, they go for the island test, where they basically take the same badges, but in this one is, well, except that Gon's basically already able to, well, doesn't have his fishing rod. What he has instead is basically, well, the 2 weapons they have is basically Killua had his yo-yos but never used them for some reason, I don't know why. While Gon, the weapon they gave him was basically blades on some chains that are basically always in a bag. That's basically on his belt, well, the back of his belt. So he basically used that to get Hisoka's badge. He helped both Leorio and Kurapika because, well, in the tower they became kind of more close together. This time the difference is that Gon lets himself be bitten by the snakes and then isn't affected by the poison. Since just like Killua, he is unaffected by any poisons, somnifers, or any other freaking thing like that that could be considered a toxin. So he basically brings them out. Killua basically gets his points the same way, and so everyone basically gets the same points in that place. But with Gon basically being told by Hisoka this practically the same thing, just with the difference that he doesn't want Gon to be able to hit him. Well, no, he wants Gon to hit him like he did, but the difference is that when Gon was running away and that the other guy attacked him, Gon was the one who basically killed off that guy. He isn't scared of doing it. He basically was trained for that all his life. So when that's over, basically they arrive to the last place. Well, they're starting to talk, and he was asking the same questions. When he went to put the combat thing, well, the pairs, he basically took out two hunter's license and said, "Go and kill one. Come, come here, please." Basically gave them to the license and told them, "Since you completed the game, just like we said, you were able to get closer to in the game that we played than anyone else. So you are exempted from the last challenge. Here are your license, and if you want to stay to see what the others are capable of doing, you can." Which both of them basically says, "Not needed. We already know who's going to get theirs." Basically, they after giving them the license, he shows the thing, tells the rule, then tells them that. So basically, they just say, "We're going to go back home for now," and basically gets told to go in a certain room and that they're going to do the briefing that they did in the anime, but just those two beforehand, and later do it to the other persons. So they just get told everything, then they leave to go back home. Which, this is a difference that happens. When they get back home, basically, they see Illumi's not there. Then, um, Killua's dad basically tells them that he was in the hunter's exam. They didn't see him. Then both of them decided to think, well, it was fun. Then Gon said that he started to want to know who his real dad was, which Killua's dad was like, I knew this would happen at some point. So I decided to not hold both of you back if you want to go and look for him. So both of them accepted. Then Killua's dad decided to tell both of them that, um, well, he decides to tell both of them that Gon actually comes from an island called Whale Island. Then tells him basically how he happened to be in their possession, that they were tasked to kill a group of mercenaries that basically steals people, and then sells them as slave or pets and stuff like that. And that they just found Gon in there and decided to bring him back. But that later they heard that on Whale Island a baby called Gon, with the exact same description as he was basically stolen there. And so if they want to go there, which basically both of them decide that they want to go there, but they just think, if I want to find my dad, if he's not there, I'll need money to do that. So they basically both think of Heaven's Arena, which when they go there, both of them basically registers normally. Well, compared to in the anime, they basically already both know what's happening there and are a lot stronger. So they basically destroy the place. Well, every competitor. They meet with Sushi and the master. Um, why can't I remember his name? Basically, every time it's for someone, I basically give them the same name that I give them when I'm talking about them or thinking about them. Like Killua's dad, I basically just called him the long-haired vampire. um, Zuchi, I call him Zuchi because his name, for some reason, I'm able to remember. But his master, I always call him the Untucked Shirt, just because it's basically one of his character traits that sticks with me. But yeah, basically, they meet with them when they get to the 200 floor. Hisoka basically blocks them. Then Zuchi and the other guy basically gets them, tells them that he will teach them Nen. He basically unlock their their Nen the same way as in the anime. But here is the difference. Both of them just I'm just going to put it like that just because I really hate that they have it. Both of them decided, well, when going against to pass through Hisoka's Nen, basically sensed something inside of them that wasn't right. It was Nen, but it wasn't the right Nen. And both of them kind of got something. Illumi's always been protecting them in a certain way. And he uses needles. And so, basically, both of them do exactly what Killua did when he fought against the ant guy. And both of them decided to try and remove the needles, which both of them did, and they were basically like, huh, that's interesting. Since Killua was the first, well, Killua and Illumi were basically, while in the Hunter exam, the first people that they actually sensed a lot of Nen from, and the needles were basically trying to get them to get away. In that moment, they basically got the same feeling, except that Gon, for some reason, if you remember in the anime, can basically sense something as long as it's somewhere on his body. He can feel it perfectly, even in his body. So after learning Nen, I'm pretty sure he would feel the needle and tell Killua about them, about that, and both of them decide to remove them. So they don't have the fear, which basically there's only like 4 or 5 different places where it's actually felt needed before he removes them. First one is against the spiders. Second one is on Greed Island when they go for the dodgeball game. Third one is the first time they met one of the ants. Basically, Killua just kind of got a bit scared, but he knew he could take it. It'll take him. It's just like, it's not a 100% chance of survival. Be careful. After that, it was against Pito. And the last and final one was basically just before he removed it. Oh no, there's six. The first one actually comes in the Hunter exam when Illumi basically shows himself. I forgot that one. But yeah, basically, um, the teacher tells them not to fight anyone because they're not trained. Gon still does, but this time basically massacres the guy. Like, really massacres him. Since Killua, before even learning Nen, would probably have been able to beat him. So since both of them are stronger, it's basically an easy fight. The guy was still mad at Gon and told him the same restriction, which then made them do the exact same thing. Then when that ended, they basically went and fought against the others. Then Gon against Hisoka, which against Hisoka he basically was able to punch him the same way, easier and a lot stronger. Then the fight ended with Hisoka winning, for good reasons, because he's probably stronger than Netero for some reason that I'm not able to get. Basically, no matter who's he's fighting, there's literally no one who's actually able to push him to the limit, except when he fought the Phantom Troops leader. In that moment, he lost, but only because they were cheating a lot. So, yeah. If this is spoiler, I'm really sorry. But yeah, later in the mangas, basically that's one of the only mangas I read like something, because someone at my school last year basically had the manga written in English and passed it to me, told and just told me to read it all. I did, and it was basically the moment where that happened. I don't freaking know where he got the book. Hell, it looks like he printed it himself, so probably that. Just copied everything on the internet and just printed them. Which would be really funny, to be serious, but still. So I know about that. But yeah, when they finish Heaven's Arena, they basically go to Whale Island, and Gon meets Mito, and when he tells her his name, she basically asks, she remembers Gon, the baby, but basically asks if it's truly him, and Killua basically explains the story of why they're basically brothers, adoptive brothers, but still. Which she starts crying, basically because, well, her nephew is still alive and just came back to her. Um, Pretty much a lot happens. They find out about the books. The box. They open it. Then they find every same thing. Then with Mito, he learned that his true name is Gon Freesk, and that his dad's name is Gin, and so he wants to find him, and Greed Island is basically the best way to find it. So they have like 1.5 times the money since Gon never used up the money that he got from the first time he passed through the arena. When they meet in, well, when they get to the place where they are trying to get Great Island, let's just say a serious event made it so that Kurapika was just looking for the ice anyway and got there, and that Leorio went there to look for a specific thing. They all got the same training, but for different reasons this time. And I'm going to end it here. I did a lot in this one because basically it's 45 minutes long. So I wanted it to be a part 0, but I really got into it. Like, it was supposed to be something like 5 episodes long, or 5 parts long, but I think it's going to be like only 3, like the last ones about Hunter x Hunter. Because I basically gave you about 2.5 episodes of content. So yeah. Hope you liked it. I went overboard with it, but yeah. Natsu out.